Hey guys, I'm Pastor LaBryant friend, and I'm the proud lead pastor of Belong Church Atlanta. And I want to welcome you to our YouTube page. I'm hoping and praying that something you see here helps you see God differently. We exist to be a bridge for people to experience and belong to Christ in community. And you, even watching this online, have the ability to be a part of that online community. If you want to stay abreast of everything that's going on here at Belong Church, you can text BELONGATL to 94000, and that'll keep you fully in the loop with all things Belong. In addition, you can follow us here on YouTube, like and subscribe. But you can also follow us on Instagram at BelongATL and on Facebook at Belong Church Atlanta. Now, let's get ready for today's message.
Here it is. We are starting a new series today, and the name of the series is Called. Everybody shout Called. And what I want you to know is that for the space of life that you're in, God has called and anointed you to do something that nobody else can do. Now, let me say it again, because I need everybody that believes this to say something when I say it. God has called and anointed you to do something that nobody else can do. Matter of fact, just tell one other person, you are called, you are anointed, God's hand is on your life. You don't need a microphone for the anointing. You're called for this. You don't need a crown for it. God has called you for this. You don't need a team just yet. You just need to know that if God has called you to it, He's going to send everybody and everything that you need. I'm telling you, it don't have to start with a crowd. It starts with a mustard seed of faith. And if you just believe that God's hand is on you and He's called you to do something great, I'm believing you're about to see the hand of God greatly over the course of these next several months. God has given me a challenge for all of you. It started with me, that part of Him calling us, our calling will never be greater than our service. The way we serve people will really show forth how much we are called. And the truth is, a lot of people think their calling exempts them from serving. My calling is why I serve. I'm not exempt from serving because God's called me. I'm actually anointed to serve because God's hand has called me. Matter of fact, I serve because God called me out of darkness into His marvelous light. And I remember what darkness was like. So I'll serve those in darkness until they come into the light. Are y'all with me? Like I ain't called, here we go, y'all. I ain't called just to serve church people. Sunday morning is my refill. I got Monday through Saturday where I got to deal with people that don't do what I do, and that's where I'm called. That's my field. So for a few moments this morning, I'm going to tackle a thought out of Exodus 3. I'm going to read Exodus 3, 1 through 10, but I'm actually going to preach through all of Exodus 3 and 4, and I'm going to do it, I promise you all, 35 minutes. I'm going to be done. But I want to read this, and then we'll set the stage, and we'll see what happens. Exodus 3 and 1, it says, one day Moses was tending the flock of his father-in-law, Jethro, the priest of Midian. He led the flock far into the wilderness and came to Sinai, the mountain of God. The angel of the Lord appeared to him in a blazing fire from the middle of a bush. Moses stared in amazement. Though the bush was engulfed in flames, it didn't burn up. This is amazing, Moses said to himself. Why isn't that bush burning up? I must go see it. When the Lord saw Moses coming to take a closer look, God called to him from the middle of the bush, Moses, Moses. Here I am, Moses replied. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I would have been looking at a bush crazy if I heard it call my name. I don't know about anybody else. I probably would have went in the other direction. How many of y'all ever heard God call you and try to run in the other direction? Is there anybody that's ever tried to run from God's call? Like you knew it was Him calling you, and you're like, no, not this week, Lord, not today. Give me another year. Have y'all ever told God, give me time to get myself together? As if you got the power to get yourself together, right? He said, take off your shoes. You're standing on holy ground. I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. When Moses heard this, he covered his face because he was afraid to look at God. And here we go, verse 7. Then the Lord told him, I have certainly seen the oppression of my people in Egypt. I have heard their cries of distress because of their harsh slave drivers. Yes, I am aware of their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the power of the Egyptians and lead them out of Egypt into their own fertile and spacious land. It is a land flowing with milk and honey, the land where the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites now live. Now, I know I read a lot there, but if you've been under persecution and God's about to bring you out of it, He never brings you out empty-handed. He always has a strategy to carry you into abundance. I need a few people that have been under pressure in life, feel like you've been persecuted by people, feel like you have been left on the outside and wondering, what in the world is God doing right now? You've been crying and it seemed like He hasn't responded. Here's what I want you to know. When He does respond, He's about to carry you into a place called abundance. Everybody shout it with me, abundance. My next ain't gonna look like my now. I need a few people that can just believe God that what I'm walking into next is not gonna look like what I'm standing in now. God's about to prove to me that He does better than I expected, better than I thought, and He's carrying me into a place called abundance. Look, the cry of the people of Israel has reached me, and I have seen how harshly the Egyptians abused them. Now go, for I am sending you to Pharaoh. You must lead my people Israel out of Egypt. Really, verse 10 is going to lead us into the rest of it. Just tell one person, now go. Tell one person, now go. And you're saying this to them. I'm talking in particular to the people who've had a charge to go for a long time and you've been stuck. I'm talking to a few people that heard God tell you to go 6 months ago and you stayed where you were because it was very convenient. Just tell somebody, go, go, go. I'm talking to a few people that have found themselves stuck in what they thought was stable and didn't know on the other side of stability was abundance. Tell them to go. I'm talking to a few people that have heard God's call and have been not running from it, but just standing still, waiting for it. I just want you to tell them to go. Now go. Matter of fact, now is the opportune time for you to step into everything that God called and created you to be. Now is your, I'm telling you, I'm screaming at you like the Spirit of God is screaming at you internally. Now go. Don't delay another day on what God created and built you for. Matter of fact, I prophesy restless nights until you go. I declare that God ain't gonna let you sleep well until you start to do what He built you for. I just declare you are not gonna be comfortable being stable. You're gonna be comfortable when you go into the abundance of God, but it's gonna take a bold move out of your comfort zone to get there. But today, Father, crush every comfort zone, crush every place where we've become stagnant and comfortable and agitate our lives until we move into the place called purpose and destiny. Why? Because there's an assignment on your life that's bigger than you. There are men and women that are waiting for you to go. You have no clue who is on the other side of your yes, and God's just waiting for you to go. Somebody shout, go, go, go. Woo. Matter of fact, tell them, go quickly, go quickly, go quickly. Go, 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 go. Why are you still having conversations over what you've been anointed to do? You don't have to feel anointed to be anointed. Go, go, go. You don't have to feel like it to be called to it. Go, go, go. It says now go, now go, now go. No more wasted time. No more wasted moments, no more wasted seasons, no more blaming what was for what hasn't become. Matter of fact, the name of this message is No More Excuses. Just tell one person, no more excuses, no more excuses. God has heard them all and so have we. And now is the time for you to do what you were called to do. No more excuses, no more excuses. I don't care who else is doing what you feel like you're called for. I'm telling you, when you make up your mind to do it, it's going to be an anointing on it because God's hand is on your life. No more excuses. I want you to get out of your head the comparison of yourself to someone else's story and their journey. I don't care if you feel like it's oversaturated for what you're created for. You're going to be just the right amount of enough when you show up to do it. No more excuses. No more excuses. No more excuses. And I want to prophesy this to you. And y'all, I just feel God on this. I want to prophesy this to you. That when you make up your mind to go, God gonna catch up the years that you refuse to go. Can I just declare that real quick? I'm about to go into my word, but hear me. God's about to catch up the time that you said no. He's going to catch up the time that you drug your feet. I'm telling you all, I feel the Spirit of God on this. God is about to catch you. As a matter of fact, somebody just shouted, catch me up. I'm going to go this time, but Lord, catch me up. He's going to catch up every moment you felt like you lost. He's going to catch up every season you felt like you were behind. God is going to catch you up with where you're supposed to be. You're not behind. You're just disobedient. God will catch you up if you give him your yes. Woo! Matter of fact, somebody just shout yes now. Yes, yes, yes. I don't want to do it, but God, I say yes. I'm talking to myself. God, I don't want to go, but I say yes to you now. God, I would rather you choose somebody else to do it, but today I say yes. No more excuses. No more excuses. No more excuses. I got 30 minutes. No more excuses. Y'all, I shared this. I shared this on woo. Y'all hear me? Hear me. God's trying to push you to the next place of your calling, and you don't have time to shrink anymore. I need to go into my story. You don't have time to play it small anymore. Let it start with 2 followers and watch God send 2 million out of nowhere. You don't have time. You don't have time to count who's with you and who's not. The only time you've got now is to obey God. I want y'all to hear me very clearly. The only thing you've got time for now is to obey God and obey God quickly. You don't have time to argue with anybody else over what they think you were created to do. The Creator is talking loud to you right now. It's just time for you to do the doggone thing. And today, my responsibility is to aggravate and agitate your calling to the degree that you won't be comfortable staying where you are, because you're called. And part of your calling, you're going to find God in every calling creates an opportunity for you to serve people. There's no way to be called without serving. There's no way to be called without serving. So, no more excuses. Everybody shout it one more time. No more excuses. All right, y'all. So, yesterday I was in the gym, right? I'm doing my normal workout. I got a little routine, Pastor Cole, that I do when I go in the gym. I start with a warm-up, right? I do a mild, moderate jog. When I say moderate jog, 6 miles per hour, nothing too crazy. Just to get my heart rate moving. You get it, DK. Just, get my heart rate moving, get myself, ready before I lift. I got to get my heart rate at a certain rate before I lift, right? So I'm doing my jog, and this gentleman comes and gets on the treadmill beside me. And he gets on the treadmill beside me, and I look to speak, and he looks to see what number I've got on my treadmill. And no stretching, nothing. He turns his treadmill on, and he goes straight to 7 miles an hour. Okay? Now, I'm going to be honest with y'all. The competitor in me was saying to myself, I can go a lot faster than this. And I was itching to press my button to take my speed up a little bit faster. But what I did, I'm like, I'm not in full cardio mode today. I'm fasting. Thank you so much. I'm in the middle of a fast, and I'm trying not to die, right? I'm trying not to die. So I kept the pace that I had already set. Okay? Y'all, and I know this because I looked at his treadmill. Exactly 1 minute and 40 seconds after he started running, my good brother goes flying off the treadmill. No, y'all. No. See, some of y'all laughed, and he literally goes flying. Y'all seen the viral videos where people playing on treadmills and zoop, be like, he went flying back to the machine behind him. Okay. I jumped off my tread and I don't stop my pace. My pace is still going. I jump off my tread to try to attend to him. And he says to me, my shoes were unlaced. And I look, Enrique, his shoes were tied real strong. I ain't gonna hold you. And he said, I forgot the tread. He gave me like 7 different excuses for why he went flying off the treadmill. And I just reached my hand out because I'm trying to help him up. He said, I don't need your help. I said, bet. No problem. You stay on the floor. I'm on my feet, right? I jumped back on the tread and I finished my run. And once I finish, he's still in the floor. And I just go down and I finish my other things. But here's what I'm trying to get to. Some of us haven't recovered because we started too quick. And we outpaced where God was actually trying to take us. And now that it didn't work out, we're making excuses for why it didn't, rather than receiving the help God's trying to send to pull us back up. I just want to declare this real quick. You're not going to miss the help that wants to lift you up in this next season of your life. When God sends people, you ain't going to try to size them up to see who sent them. How many of y'all are like, God, God sent somebody, and you still trying to sniff them out? Like, who sent you? What are you here for? What do you want? Is it God or the devil, right? You trying to size them up. I just want to declare, your excuse ain't going to be that nobody stopped to help you. You're going to receive the help that God sends, and you're going to go forward in strength into everything that he called you to be. Because you don't have time to be sitting when God's called you to serve. And I'm not talking about just Sunday morning. God has called you to serve people. God has called you to serve humanity. God has called you for his light to shine forth through you. And the excuse you're making is A, B, C, or D. And the truth is, you don't have an excuse to not be fulfilling what God's created you for. Now, let's walk it through with Moses. And I'm going to give you all the 5 levels of excuses that Moses gave. Moses came into life, and I'm trying to make this as easy and plain as possible just to make it relatable. Moses came into life with trauma. When Moses was born, Pharaoh was killing all of the male sons under 2 years old. His mama put him in a boat and put him on the river. And he was delivered out of the river by the king's daughter and was given the name Moses, meaning to be brought out of the water. He grew up as an Israelite in an Egyptian culture. You want to talk about trauma and you want to talk about identity issues. Imagine being raised as one thing but being born as something else and not really knowing who you are. I want to be sure I'm on somebody's street. You know what I mean? Like, imagine being called a name that you would not have had unless somebody pulled you out of the river, and really struggling with who you are and your identity and your purpose and your call. And one day he sees an Egyptian beating an Israelite, and he kills the Egyptian, and then they say, you know what, why would you do that? You're one of them. And when they figure out that it was Moses that did it, Moses runs away. He runs into the desert because he feels like he's going to be discovered and Pharaoh's going to kill him. So by the time we pick this story up in Exodus 3, Moses hadn't been on the run 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. He's been on the run for 40. How many of y'all know what it's like to run a long time from what you really called for because you feel like you messed it up last time you tried it? How many of y'all know what it's like to run from your calling because you feel like you made too many missteps the last time you tried to do it? Moses has started a whole new life. He married, got children. He started a whole new world, and he is tending to his father-in-law, Jethro's flock, when all of a sudden at 80 years old, God calls Moses into the next phase of his life and calling. Point 1 that has nothing to do with point 1 is that your calling does not have a time limit or a time frame. God can call a 2-year-old the same way he can call an 80-year-old. God's calling on your life. Matter of fact, it's not a space where you grow outside of being called from God. God will call you right where you are in the midst of what you thought was your most stable days. Because what I've learned is God doesn't just call you when you're in chaos. God also calls you when you feel like your life finally gets stable. How many of y'all ever felt like life was finally good? You know what? I've got the marriage. I've got the house. I've got the job. Everything is good. And God, you ain't got to do nothing else. I've got the degree. I've started what I wanted to start. God, I'm satisfied with Jesus. And right at your point of satisfaction, God will call you and say, I'm not done yet. I don't know who I'm talking to, but God will wait until you think he's finished, and you're just going to fade into the sunset to tell you there's something more than where you are. I just want to prophesy to a few people in this room, there's something more for you than where you are. I know you think that things are already well, but I want to declare that there's more that God is going to do, and more that he's going to bring to pass, and more that he's going to show you as it pertains to your call, your purpose, your destiny, and your future. God talks to Moses out of a burning bush, and he tells Moses, I've created you to be the answer for a solution. Because I'll tell you this, more often than not, you are the answer to what aggravates you. If it's aggravating you, it's because you're called to be an answer for it. But what most of us do, instead of being the answer, we complain about the aggravation rather than being the deliverer for it. God, matter of fact, I said this here the last several weeks. Just say it to yourself. I am a solution. You are not the problem. You are the answer. God will send you to difficult cases and difficult scenarios because you carry answers that no one else will get unless you show up. God has made you an answer. Stop rejecting what you were created for. You were created to be an answer, and quit asking God for easy when he's called you for great. Easy and great are not synonymous. So, here we go. So God calls Moses. I'm going to give y'all, here we go. I got to go through these 5 excuses. I'm going to do them in 20 minutes. Number one, excuse number one, Moses gives God is, I'm not good enough. It's the excuse of self-perception. Because here it is. Your life will never go higher than the way you perceive yourself. The highest you can ever ascend is the way you see you. And until you reevaluate the way you see yourself, you'll only live at the level of your last revelation. And for some of us, that last revelation was traumatic. And so that's why we think as long as we live here, we're good. But when you get a new revelation of what God's called and created you for, it should change the way you see and or perceive yourself. Now, the problem is not that you're not called to great things. The problem is you don't see yourself as great. I just skip for myself. I'll skip for myself. The real issue is you don't see the greatness that's already on the inside of you. Matter of fact, for some of you, you can identify it in everybody but you. You can validate what everybody else is called to, but the moment you've got to give definition to who you are, you start stumbling. And I'm not talking about speaking in tongues. I mean, you can put words. Matter of fact, some of y'all got the gift of affirmation. You can affirm what's on everybody else, but you haven't learned how to flip that mirror and put the affirmation back on yourself as well. And so you will always live at the level that you believe. Now, I'm not just talking about where your house is. I'm talking about where your faith is. I'm talking about where your calling is. You'll only live at the level that you believe. Today, I'm calling you to a new level. No, let me try it over here. Today, I'm calling you to a new level. You can't live here anymore and talk about you're not good enough. If the God of all creation lives on the inside of you, you've been good enough. I don't care who don't buy your music, keep building it. I don't care who don't read your book, keep writing. I don't care who don't join your business, keep building the business. I don't care who don't support it, keep doing it. Because you are simply a reflection of the greatness that God has already planted on the inside of you. And how dare us live below the level of what God created us for. Moses says, Exodus 3:11, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and should bring the children of Israel out of Egypt? And some of you all are like, who am I that I should start the business? Who am I that I should go back to school? Who am I that I should apply for the promotion? Who am I that I should start the organization and the nonprofit? Who am I? And the who am I's are stopping you from seeing the who you are. God's call for your life is for you to see yourself the way that he sees you. And you're too busy questioning what you know about you instead of answering to what God has already said about you. And because your level of revelation stops at what you know about you, you stop believing God for what he said about you. Because what you know about you and what he said about you don't always look the same. I need to talk to a few people that can just agree that sometimes what I know about me and what God said about me, they really don't match. Moses knew that he was a murderer. How can God call a murderer to now be a deliverer? Because God cares less about your history than he does about your future. I'm talking to a few people that got some ugly past. Can I talk to a few people real quick that got some ugly past? I ain't talking about I made a little mistake. I'm talking about I did some stuff. I probably should still be locked up right now for what was in my heart. But thanks be to God that he's a deliverer. But just because I'm free don't mean I'm free. Because it's very possible for your body to be free, but your mind and its perception still be locked in what you know about you. Today, I just came to break every chain on your mind that's got you locked in who you were 5 years ago and 10 years ago and 15 years ago. And I just want to declare there's a greater version of you that's trying to evolve. But it can only come forward based on how you choose to see yourself. So how do I see myself? I'm fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of the Most High. God's hand is on my, somebody shout it, God's hand is on my life. I'm anointed for everything I was created for. Matter of fact, here's my revelation. No weapon formed against me will ever prosper. God built me for something, and I got to see me the way he does. And I got to stop shrinking the way I see me based on what I know about me. Matter of fact, the part that most of us need to wipe away out of our everyday consciousness is clearing your conscience is the stuff that you used to be and thinking that who you used to be is going to stop who you're called to become. No. Y'all. You need a used to be to give a legitimacy to who you're about to become. Yeah, I don't know who I'm talking to, but I wouldn't trust anybody that didn't have a little bit of something in there yesterday. I wouldn't trust anybody that say they've been good all their life. They ain't had no fall. They ain't had no scandal. They ain't had no scare. They've been holy and righteous. I wouldn't trust anybody that ain't got a story to tell. But your yesterday creates the platform for the future you to step on too. This is why it's not, I'm not enough, I'm more than enough. Greater is he that's in me than he that's in the world. Everybody just shouted, I'm more than enough, I'm more than enough. Here's excuse number 2. I don't have all the answers. It's the excuse of intelligence. Because, here we go, I might get in trouble today. Take a deep breath, breathe in, breathe out. What has stopped most of you from moving is feeling like you don't know enough about what's to come. And you don't want to look like a fool making a misstep. You think that God is required to give you every detail before you go. And the truth is, more often than not, God gives you a crumb without giving you the full revelation. Because if he told you everything, you really wouldn't go. So what he does is he gives you enough to get started so that you'll go and do and become what he's called you to be and do. But for some of us, the excuse has been, I don't know enough. Your prayer has been, God, if you'll show me the plan, I promise I'll go. And the truth is, if he showed you the plan, you still wouldn't go. Because if he showed you everybody that was going to betray you in the midst of that, you would find a reason to say, I'd rather be loved than betrayed. So you'll find a reason to stay where you are so you won't have to deal with the heartache of what happens on the other side of your yes. It's not a lack of intelligence, it's a lack of submission. Intelligence and submission are not synonymous, because many of us will only submit to the level that we know. But there's a part of faith and walking with God that I've got to submit at the level that I don't understand. I need a few people that have had to say yes to God and you didn't understand what you were saying yes to. Can I talk to a few people that have just had to say, God, I'll do it even though I don't know what all this is supposed to look like. It's the place where you elevate your intelligence over your faith. Because anytime you think you've got to be intellectual enough to get there, or that God's got to give you every detail for you to go, you're going to miss the call and the assignment of God on your life. So Moses says, he answered Exodus 4:1. Exodus 3 and 13. Moses said to God, indeed, when I come to the children of Israel and say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me, and they say to me, what's his name? What shall I say then? What he says is, I don't know enough to tell them when I get there. Y'all want to know what God's answer was to him? When you get there, don't give him a name. When you get there, tell him, I am sent me. Because if I give you one name, they're going to have another question. But if I say that I am, whatever's on the other side of what they need, that's what he will become everything that they need on the journey. I am will show up and be. He proved it. When they needed water, he proved I am water. When they needed food, he proved I am manna. When they needed deliverance, he proved I am a way maker. He became everything that they need. All you need to know is I am got you. Woo. When my family don't got me, I am does. When my friends don't support me, I am's got my back. It's the excuse of intelligence. I don't want you to miss another moment because you say you don't know. The best place in these moments to be is in the spot called I don't know. Can I tell y'all something most leaders won't say to you, especially on a Sunday morning? There are parts of what God has called, belong to, and for that my only answer is I don't know. Can I free every builder and every visionary from the idea of having to know everything? There are seasons where I'm just like, God, I don't even know what you're doing. All I know how to do is fast and pray. Things ain't happening like they were happening at one time, but right now, if you don't know, just do that one time real quick. I just want everybody in the room to feel safe. God, Isaiah, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what he's doing. But I have removed the responsibility off of my shoulders from trying to be God. I no longer have a God complex. If you come to me and ask, I'm going to tell you straight up, I don't know. We're going to follow God together. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is we're going with God. I see the cloud, and we're going wherever the cloud is. I don't know. I don't know what God's going to do on the other side of this. All I know is wherever God is, that's where we're going, right? So it's the excuse of intelligence. You don't have to know everything. You just got to know you're with the right one. Excuse number 3, people won't believe me. It's the excuse of believability. Some of us haven't started because we feel as if when we open our mouths, our words are not going to be relative or believable. We've based our audience on people that wasn't cheering for us anyway. Woo! Yeah, y'all thought the crowd you were called to were the ones that didn't believe, and you didn't know your voice was already calibrated for people that were just waiting for you to start. It's a question of believability. Here's what Moses says. He says, but suppose they won't believe me or listen to my voice, and suppose they say the Lord has not appeared to you. Have you ever started something and somebody told you you were crazy for doing it? How many of y'all have ever got in the middle of a process and everybody thought you were a fool for doing it? Yeah. A few people, right? You know what it's like to start it and for people to not join in or feel connected or not support. You know what it is to start a business and think that some of your best followers are going to be those that are in your bloodline and they ain't bought none yet. So you basing your believability on your bloodline when the truth is God got a whole set of people that don't have your blood but going to support you better. What believability comes down to is how much do you believe what God has said about you? How much do you believe that God's hand is on your life? How much do you know without a shadow of a doubt that God has something great in store and great for you to do? Here's why believability is so difficult. Believability demands a level of vulnerability. And for most of us, the fear is being too vulnerable and how people will exploit that vulnerability. Can I free a few people? If you tell the story first, it don't matter how they tell it next. If you control your story and you tell it before they do, it doesn't matter how they try to spin it. You still control the narrative of who you are and who you're becoming. Don't worry about who doesn't believe because you're called to the ones who will. Some of you all just hadn't said yes because you keep saying, suppose they don't believe me. Suppose it don't work out. Suppose the business fails. Suppose I flunk out of school. Suppose I make the move and I went to the wrong city. Can I be honest with y'all? The beauty is, if you went in the wrong direction, you can always start again. Can I be honest with you? This is what y'all hear me. Just the beauty is you can always start over. The truth is, if you're living your life for people, you'll feel like you're stuck at your last failure. When you're living your life for God, you know, I just started all over again. Rinse and repeat. I'll do it again, right? It's an excuse of believability. The excuse will no longer be, I don't know if they'll follow me. I don't care if they follow you. You have relegated your life to the people you know. And you know less than 0.0001% of the people in the entire world. And here you are minimizing yourself for 0.0001%, thinking that because they don't follow, nobody will. And the truth is, God got a whole nother subset of people that are waiting for you to do what you were called to do. Believability won't be your excuse. Number four, here we go. He says, I'm a terrible public speaker. It's the excuse of capacity and capability. Ooh, y'all take a deep breath, because I know I'm about to hit somebody. I'm trying not to throw rocks. I know this is about to hit somebody. How many of y'all have ever told God, I don't have time? Ooh, y'all, if I'm throwing it at you, just duck. Matrix on me if you need to. How many of you ever just told God, I just don't have time. I got this going on. I got this happening. Oh, there's so many things. I got my kids. I got my husband. I got my spouse. I got my babe. Got boo. I got rent due. Light. It's the first. They gonna be looking for y'all on the third. They gonna give y'all Labor Day off, but on the third they looking like rent due, mortgage due. All this is happening. God, if I just had a couple more hours in the day, and the truth is, if you had a couple more hours, you'd still be wasting those couple more hours. I know they hit below the belt. Just take a deep breath. Let's go for it. If you had a couple more hours, you would still be wasting a couple more hours scrolling, living vicariously through somebody else's highlights, wondering why your life hadn't hit that yet. I want you to strip from your vocabulary that you don't have capacity or capability. If you're called to it, you'll make space for it. If you're called to it, you'll find a way to leave, get off work at your 9 to 5, and still invest a couple hours to build in what God called you for. It's not that you don't have the capability. It's that you don't have the attention span right now. You're too focused on too much other stuff that really don't matter. If you got an iPhone and you were to go into your settings and your system, and what your iPhone will do is it will tell you how you have spent your last 24 hours. It will give you a detailed breakdown of how you've spent every minute and every moment. And I promise you, if you were to do that today, you would see a lot of time has been spent scrolling that could have been spent building. Let's be real. Some of y'all have pages with no post on them. You ain't ever posted a single thing. So why is the phone telling us you're spending 6 hours on TikTok and Instagram? TikTok stories sending y'all out. You understand what I'm saying? Like, y'all, you're scrolling when you could be building. And you haven't reached the level yet where you should be comfortable and your life is on autopilot. You're at the space where you need to be building. I'm talking to everybody in the room right now. Your life is not built for autopilot just yet. You're in the space where you should be building. But if you're trying to live through everybody else's highlights, you don't know the nightmare they're really living on the other side of those highlights. Because listen to me. People post what they want you to consume. They don't post what they're really going through. Social media would look a whole lot different if people posted the struggle that they was really in. Rather, they will give you a nice little thread to scroll through when the truth of the matter is they're hanging on by a thread. And here you are envying somebody and questioning your own call based on how many likes they get when the truth of the matter is, if you would just take a little time and build what God called you to be. It's not that you don't have capacity, and it's not that you don't have the capability. Y'all take a deep breath. I'm already over, so here we are. Yeah, it's not that you don't have the capability. Take a deep breath, because some of y'all may get mad when I say this part, but we'll live. For some of y'all, the real issue is you're just lazy. It's Sunday. I got a wife to go home to. I ain't looking for nothing. The real issue is you're lazy. You are lazy. You think that you blink and it's going to happen. You think that you posted one time and it's going to become a 7-figure organization. That's not how this thing works. I wish they could see. Y'all, I was able a few months back to go with one of our partners that is building well in life. He's building well. And he told me to come with him to come look at some of the stuff that he was working on. He's been renovating houses, renovating houses. Y'all, I came like dressed up. Like I was ready. I didn't know what I was about to get into. I mean, I had my Burberry shoes on. I had my slack. You know, I'm coming because I'm like, we about to meet, have conversation. Y'all, I get to this man. He got on some old dusty work boots. I mean, that come up halfway up his calf. Some blue jeans. He's like, all right, Pastor, we about to go in this house. And I'm trying to tiptoe through mud. And he literally got on his entire work outfit going from house to house. I'm thinking we're going to go to one house. We end up going to 7. 7 houses that he's building and renovating simultaneously. And not one time in the day did I see him stop to get his phone to scroll to see what somebody else was doing. Because when you're building, you don't have time to worry about what everybody else is doing. When you're called to build it, you got to work it until it's working itself. So your excuse has been you don't have time, you don't have capacity, you don't have capability. You need a team. You don't need a team yet. You need you. You need to buy into it before you try to get somebody else in it. You need to believe in what God's called you for. It's not a question of capacity or capability. It's really an excuse of a yes. He says, I'm a terrible public speaker. And God says, if you go, I'll speak through you. And better yet, if you go, I'll send your brother. I'm really, y'all. But he says the only way you're going to find your brother is you got to leave Mount Sinai and go into the assignment. And you're going to discover on your way your brother's been waiting for you. Some of the help you need is not here because here is not where you're called. Some of your help ain't going to show up until you start doing what God has called you to do. And you'll find out as you go, God's going to send the right people to the right place so you can trust when they show up, they're showing up for the right reason. Here's the last excuse. And this is the one I think is going to hit all of us. And I'm done. Excuse 5, I don't want to do it. Here we go. Let's work. The last excuse, number 5, I don't want to do it. It's the excuse of desire versus design. Now, just to be sure I'm in the right room, how many of y'all have ever told God, I just don't want to do it? Come on. I don't need to see the hands. Patrice, your hand went up twice. I mean, some of y'all probably need to put 2, 3, your legs, everything, all right? I don't want to do it. I don't. Moses was the first one to ever tell God, get somebody else to do it. Moses said, Lord, please send somebody else. Because what I've discovered is what you desire to do and what you're designed to do are not always synonymous. And there'll be moments that God will call you to do what he designed for you that you didn't desire for yourself. How many of you all have ever had to answer and give God a yes for something you just did not want to do? Like somebody said, right now, I heard that loud, like I'm living this thing right now, right? You've had to say yes to something you did not want to do. But what I've learned is everything that you desire is not necessarily good for you. But when I live in God's design for me, God's design will always support his demand for my life. I don't want you, here we go, take a deep breath. I don't want you to live in your dreams. I want you to live in God's design. And the two are not always the same. And it's very possible that you can waste good years on your dream because you haven't submitted your dream to the master designer. And anytime you're running from who God designed you to be, you delay the deliverance for those you're really called to. Here we go, y'all. Here it is. The first time Moses tried to be a deliverer, it didn't work. And it sent him on the run for 40 years. He was doing what he was designed for. He was just doing it prematurely. He was trying to be a deliverer before it was time for him to be a deliverer. Matter of fact, y'all, and I don't want to get into the whole historical aspect of this, but let me just drop this little piece for you. When Moses killed the Egyptian, the children of Israel had been in slavery for 390 years. God promised them 400 years of slavery. Moses went on the run for 40 years and shows back at year 430. Moses moving too soon delayed a generation 30 years because he tried to move too quick. And when God finally called him, he said, I don't want to do it. But here's what I want us to end. Here's our final resolve for the day. You are designed intricately, intimately by the hands of the Master. His hand is on your life. Every person, both online and in this room that I'm looking at right now, the one thing I do not question is that the hand of God is on your life. You don't have to feel it. You don't have to always see it. I'm telling you now, God's hand is on your life. And you don't have to feel like you're all the way there just yet. But what you do have to do is arrive at the place where even when it's uncomfortable and even when you just don't want to do it, you say, God, if you've built me for this, my answer is yes. I don't want God to have to wait another 6 months for you to answer your call. Man, here it is, y'all. Here it is. For some of us, man. I promise you I'm wrapping this up. For some of y'all, the hard part about answering your call is that you have no blueprint to follow. You haven't seen a healthy family. So how could God call you to build one? You haven't seen a healthy marriage. So how could God call you a good thing? You haven't seen anyone in your bloodline walk out ministry. So how can God call you to be a pastor or a prophet and to preach his God? How? You don't have to see it to become it. I've never seen anybody start a business. Everybody worked 9 to 5s and they were just happy until they died. But they died full. And that won't be your testimony. You're not going to die full of God's design on the inside of you. You're called to do too many great things to not say yes to what he's created you for. If this message hit you anywhere, in your gut, in your face, if I stepped on your toes, I just want you to stand up real quick. I'm done. I promise you I'm done. If you're at home, stand up too. Everybody standing up. Stand up with your phone, hold your computer in your hand, whatever you do, everybody stand up. This is you. If I'm talking to you and I'm done, I promise y'all, I'm closing my laptop, I'm wrapping up. Today, my assignment is very simple. Some of you all have been giving God what you thought were valid excuses. I'll do it when my kids grow up. I'll do it when I don't have all this on my shoulders. I'll do it. I'll get to it at some point. This is the point. You've been running from what you were built for. You've given God every reason why you're not the one. And God sent me this Sunday just to let you know you are. You are. I'm talking to those that were raised in homes where you felt like the black sheep. Nobody understood you. Nobody got you. You just been out here figuring it out on your own. I'm talking to those that have just been wondering, you know what? Is God's hand really on me? Is God really with me? And I came to give you a resounding affirmation that when you kill the excuses, destiny's gonna come to life. And you're gonna watch God send more than you ever dreamed or expected. So what we're gonna do, and I know this feels like almost every message ends like this, but I feel like if God speaks to us, there is a response that we are responsible for. we've got a responsibility to respond to the call and to the yes of God. So what I want us to do, we're just going to take a couple minutes. I think I saw my guys moving. Here it is. I just want you for just a few moments just to lift your voice in worship. Listen, no prompt. I have no song for you at the moment. I just want you to lift your voice. And this worship for you today is just going to signify your yes to God again. Can you raise your voices at home and in the room? We're done. Raise your voice. Come on, raise your yes. Raise your yes. God, I don't understand, but I don't have any more excuses. Today you've exposed me. I'm naked and I'm unashamed. But Father, I pray today that for every excuse I've ever built and for every reason why I told you no and for everything I thought I wasn't good enough to do, thank you today for sending heaven's affirmation over my life. Thank you today for affirming that your hand is on my life. Thank you today for showing me and letting me see myself through Moses' life. Thank you today for affirming the fact that you are with me, and if you're with me, I can do and become anything I was born or created for. So today, we worship you for what you're doing in our lives. Lift your hands right there. Yes. And tell them yes. Yes. He just wants your yes. 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 Come on, one more time. Give him your yes. Yes. Just give them this yes. I'm trying to leave, but I feel the wind coming in the room. Yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. part of July, Zoe Shaw came to me, and we were having a conversation about starting her own private practice for therapy and counseling. Stop at July. And she was telling me that it was a step that, she hadn't planned to take just yet, but some opportunity had opened up and she didn't want to miss it. And she was going just back and forth, and things were moving really, really fast. And today, it was first part of July, if I'm not mistaken. Am I pretty accurate? Around the first, second week of July. And y'all, tomorrow, in less than 2 months, Zoe will be opening up the doors to her own private. I'm not in the right room. I can't be. Because when you kill the excuses, you'll discover that God will fund your future if you just say yes. I need to be sure I'm in the right room. I said, when you kill your excuses, you'll discover God will fund your future if you just say yes. You don't need all the money. You don't need all the resources. God will send the miracle out of nowhere. All he needs is your yes. Can you lift it one more time and give God yes, 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 yes. I'm uncomfortable. I don't understand it, but I say yes. I say yes. I say yes. And I say that to y'all in this room to build faith. Because before December 31st, 2024, that ain't going to be the only thing that opens up. I need y'all to hear me by faith. Before December 31st, 2024, that will not be the last opening for the Lord. You're going to see that when you say yes, God opens doors that no man can shut. God makes ways in the wilderness. He'll send rivers in your deserts. And he'll prove to you that you thought I was done and I was just getting started. Woo! So may the God of your today and the God of your future prove to you again that if you just get it started, if you kill your excuses, I'm going to do everything that I promised. For those that know before this year comes to a close, something big's about to open up for you. I want you to give God the loudest shout of praise you can find. Real quick. We out of here. I just want you. Woo! It's about to open up. I'm telling you, it's about to open up. It's about to open up. It's about to open up. It's going to spring forth suddenly. Have you not seen and have you not heard the God, our God, the everlasting God? He neither sleeps nor slumbers. It's going to happen all of a sudden. You just say yes. If you just give him this yes. If you just give him this yes. Open. Nobody can shut. He'll make a way that no one else can make. He'll prove to you you don't need it all as long as you got him. And if you've got him, you've got everything you need. I just need someone I got everything I need. I've got everything I need. So this week, when you're ready to give God another excuse, I want you to tell yourself, shut up. I give you permission this week to shut yourself up. When you get ready to go to IG, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, wherever your favorite landing space, when you get ready to go there and you open that app, I want you to tell your fingers, just cramp up in Jesus' name. Don't let my thumb scroll here. Because I got too much to do. Yeah, I set aside my recreation time, but I got too much to do. And if you do it, I promise you the generations after you will thank you for saying, I'm not just talking to y'all, I'm talking to LaBryant, DeMar friend. I want my grandchildren to say thank you. Woo! Those in my bloodline that I'll never see to eat off of my yes today. I don't know who I'm talking to. I want those that I'll never meet to eat off of my yes. I want my children's children's children. Never have a worry because I said yes to God now. May God do it for you and show you that he opens doors no man can shut and makes ways that no one else can make. If you can believe that for yourself, can you give God one more great big shout of praise?